What's up, guys? Today we're going to be going over Tjr'S Mastermind 4.0, which I was in. And I've written down some notes before we get started. I made some chili con carne last night. And that was my dog. Gonna close the door. Okay, so let's get started. Alright, so the first step we're going to go over, I've got a list right here, is the concepts. All the concepts that TJR taught us in the Mastermind 4.0 were relatively easy to understand, although sometimes he would leave us questioning. And I'll get to why that was a problem later on. But yeah, so for a lot of the concepts he does teach on YouTube already. But you'll find once joining the Mastermind that he's a lot more, like detail rich and less vague. He doesn't just say, this is what this looks like, this is how you spot it in the market. It's sort of like, this is when things are valid, this is when things are super valid, and this is when I stop looking at that entirely, pretty much. And yeah, just shows like small things that can either support or ruin some of the concepts that he teaches on YouTube. And the mentorship, we're going to go to the next step. The mentorship type, it was not a one-on-one mentorship at all, and I did not know this prior to joining. Although it wasn't a huge problem, it would have been a lot more beneficial if there was at least some one-on-one calls scheduled. Even if it was just for a few minutes to get a few questions out. It just wasn't what I had expected. Instead of a one-on-one call or even like a 1-on-10 or 1-on-30, it was a 1-on-500. There were 500 students within the Mastermind. And yeah, so it was quite hard to sort of get answers for problems that you had when there's 499 other people who also have problems. We had 3 calls a week on average, sometimes 4, sometimes 2. And the mentorship ran for 30 days, 1 month. The calls were super helpful. Every call is recorded and stored in files that you have lifetime access to. So you've got all this educational material that you can access forever, which is an absolute beautiful thing, because, if you want to take a break from trading, you can always, refresh your mind when you come back and look at things with, fresh eyes, clear eyes. The price of this, I had early access, so I believe it was maybe 25% higher towards the end of the entry window. So I had early access. It was about €2,000, which is at the time 3,000 Australian, or just over. And I'm pretty sure it went up to like 2,500 or 2,400 euro by the time the Mastermind had actually started. And yeah, TJR, he was very where am I at? Attention to detail. Very detailed 80%, 85% of the time. So when he was explaining concepts or answering questions, usually he was very in-depth with his detail and explaining, like I said, supporting and opposing things within price action that would go against your concepts. But he would leave us questioning some things, you know, like very, very small things, like, oh, what if this happens? Or what does this mean? Or what if we don't see this? You know what I mean? Or what if we see this, but then this happens and it's a little bit opposing to our confluences, you know, being validated, which was a little bit annoying. But there was sort of a alternative within the Discord server, which is absolutely fantastic to be in that Discord server. Like, it's the exclusivity is, you know, there's a lot of great material in there. One of those is the beginner questions channel. So people who are, you know, funded or live trading traders, you know, profitable, you know, they're making their living from trading. You could ask them questions and they would explain how they see it. And it might not be the same as TJR, but they'd explain it, how it works for them, and maybe that'll align with you, which is a great segment of the Discord to have. But other than that, the strategy, okay. So this video, I've never played my videos, so I don't know how I'm gonna act with this one. Strategy. The strategy is taught on YouTube. The Mastermind 4.0 strategy is taught on YouTube. It is taught on YouTube and it's available for absolutely anyone to find. He doesn't exactly say that it's his new strategy, but a lot of the sort of recent trade recaps, maybe in the last 2 or 3 months, he does explain his strategy, his new strategy that he teaches in the Mastermind 4.0, but not as detailed or refined. So obviously within the Mastermind, like I said, he would go into, you know, the do's and don'ts, what to look for, what not to look for, what to avoid entering when you see, when certain, you know, confluences get invalidated that he doesn't explain on YouTube. That's all within the Mastermind 4.0. But if you are intuitive and you pay attention to price action over the course of, I don't know, maybe 1 to 3 months, just testing out the strategy that he teaches on YouTube, you can kind of spot what works and what doesn't work. So you can skip months of learning by paying for the Mastermind. I know for a fact that I've maybe skipped 4 months of you know, fucking up within the market, losing thousands of dollars and a bunch of funded accounts, just, you know, paying for knowledge that I can get from someone who's already profitable and where I want to be. Otherwise, if you're willing to trade on demo for a few months and just absolutely test the fuck out of the strategy, go for gold. It will probably save you a few €1,000, but whether you want things to happen quickly or not, or just get information directly from the source, which is pretty much always the best bet, demo should just be fine for you. The trade reviews, so I think we had about 3 or 4 trade reviews. You know, it was always after, say, New York session. We'd have our calls just before New York session, and then we go into New York session, and then we would submit our trades through our Notion journals to TJR, and he would pick maybe 2 or 3 trades per trade review, and he would go over what was great, what was stupid, and he was very black and white. Like, he would just tell you where you fucked up, where you didn't, where you did great, and that was very, very beneficial. Okay, homework calls. So TJR has an assistant called Irony, and he hosted majority of TJR's homework calls. Sometimes it was more trades, but those were super helpful. Irony is very patient, and you know he'd sit in there for maybe an hour, just letting everyone ask questions, and then like with every question you would ask him, he would go into the market and he would show like a live example of why or why not we should be doing these things. Q&As, like I said before, you were very lucky if you could have your questions answered, just because it was that 1 on 500 sort of dynamic. You know, you're kind of competing against other traders. Sometimes people would have the same problems and they would ask the right questions that you want to ask. So you would just have to, you know, sit through the Q&As, which is absolutely no burden. Like if you really want to be serious about this, you have no problem sitting through any of the material that TJR or any mentor has to offer for you, especially if they prove time and time again that they are in fact in a place where you want to be, and they show complete transparency, all wins, all losses, why things fail, why things work. You should have absolutely no problem sitting through any sort of material, doesn't matter how long. So the Q&As, they were helpful, but a lot of the time it was very depersonalized, you know. And you can't even blame TJR. He's got a massive following. Obviously, he can capitalize greatly off the masterminds, and he did. You know, having 500 people come in at 2,000 euro, which is 1 million euro per mastermind. Obviously, you can't, you know, be everywhere at once. Let's go over the community, the Discord community. Right, so, and in particular, the Mastermind 4.0 community, very solid community when they're not fighting over religion or like ideas or how you should treat women or what's important, what car's better, you know, like when it's trading related, it's very solid. Anything outside of that, very immature and counterproductive, which I guess, you know, you can sort of expect from TJR. If you've watched any of his like trade reviews or like backtest sessions or any of that, he's very unserious unless he needs to be. So yeah, I guess it's those. One thing I actually noticed is it's those who were engaging in all these like beefs in the Discord and all that shit. They were like the first to lose their funded accounts. That's another thing that I want to touch on is with the mastermind. I'm not sure if it's every mastermind, but with the 4.0, we were all given a free funded account with 1 of 1, which I still have at the moment and I've passed, which is absolutely a great thing because that saves, you know, 850 Australian dollars. It was a 100k funded account it wasn't for futures. It was for indexes, I believe, and Forex, which is still fine because in Australia we don't have the benefits of, you know, the tax benefits of trading futures. It's the same. It's exactly the same as Forex. Discord server, very beneficial server to be in. The beginner questions was a great channel. And in fact, I'm still in the Discord server today. You know, whenever I have questions, I can jump into the beginner questions and ask them, and pretty quickly I will have an answer from someone who's like profitable. So that's absolutely beneficial. Yeah, once again, guys, I'm never playing my videos, so this feels absolutely foreign to me, and it seems a bit all over the place, but hopefully post-recording this is all like clear to understand. I'm going to give an overall rating for TJR's Mastermind 4.0 of an 8.1 out of 10. 8.1 out of 10. Majority of it was absolutely helpful, and there is a lot of great resources and material that I now have lifetime access to. The price, genuinely, it wasn't as much as I was expecting. I was expecting like somewhere between like 4,000 and 5,000 US dollars. But the only downsides is the whole 1 on 500 aspect. Very hard to get like personalized questions answered. Very hard to get, you know, one-on-one with TJR, if you even can at all. But he has great assistants like Irony and More Trades. They were very helpful. Irony, shout out him because he's very patient and low-key the GOAT. There was an opportunity to go meet TJR in Miami. I'm not sure if that even happened or not because I went to Dubai. I was in Dubai at the time, so I didn't even attend that. It was a lunch, but you had to pay to attend, so I think that just, you know, threw me off a bit. It did very sort of seem like a money grab, but it's to be expected, you know, when you blow up that big and you're making so many people funded, you know, profitable, it's, you know, you got to capitalize on the help you give out. But other than that, super resourceful, super great teachers, super great concepts, went into great detail. A month-long mentorship with lifetime access is absolutely great. So yeah, 8.1 out of 10, guys. That's what I'm rating Mastermind 4.0. This video is a little bit late, but who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Anyway, love yous.